Welcome to NFL World. NFL starts and ends. I'm your host Jacob, and Odell Beckham Jr. is in Miami Dolphin. This came together rather quickly as OBJ, excuse me, as OBJ was kind of swaying in the wind a little bit after Baltimore decided, yeah, we're okay. Go over there. We'll go draft somebody. We did with Zay Flowers. It worked wonderfully. So OBJ, he didn't really go and do many visits. Miami was one of them, and left without a deal. That was a little bit of a shocker, but not a crazy one. I thought this was more or less going to be like OBJ when he decided to do the whole, oh well, excuse me, come. I was coming back from my ACL that I tore in the Super Bowl, and now I've that that whole I'll be ready for the playoffs if you just sign me now. And what it's gonna take, you gotta basically court me, like bring me out to dinner, bring me out and walk around the streets, bring me to basketball games, hockey games, do all this stuff. And it turns out, oh, I'm not even ready yet. I haven't even started working out yet. That was what I thought it was gonna be. The fact that it wasn't showcased that it's like, okay, he's gonna be all right. He'll be healthy enough. Him going to Miami, that's the best spot for him to be the third receiver to the speed tandem of Hill and Waddle. The only concern I have with OBJ is this. What happens if he does not get thrown the ball? The game against Kansas City, they lose the game because he's not really throwing the ball much. I think he had like 2 targets the entire game. Or at least it felt that way. If OBJ is that guy that we say he is he going to be able to handle that? And is his father, OBJ Sr., Odell Beckham Sr., I should say, if he's his father, is he going to be capable of staying off Twitter and being able to say, you know what, um, we're okay. We'll be okay. We don't need to entice the world. That's unnecessary. And it is unnecessary. It's very unnecessary because he's done that so many times. He did it when he was in Cleveland. He did it when he was in Baltimore. I believe he did it when he was with the Giants. It was just on and on. And you gotta be able to avoid that. So maybe that happens and they avoid that in Miami. Maybe not. It was a little different. See, he was gonna go to a team that was a speedster, and he's not exactly a speedster. Next item, Zay Jones, a Cowboy? As Zay Jones is visiting the Cowboys, as he's visited a couple of teams actually. It says here on CBSSports.com, Cowboys are hosting former Jaguars wide receiver Zay Jones, who has ties with the organization. Zay Jones' father played linebacker for the Cowboys back in the day. The 29-year-old announced it was announced on Wednesday that the Cowboys were working out Zay Jones. As Zay Jones was released after the draft. He visited with the Tennessee Titans, however, left without a deal. The Titans later agreed to sign Tyler Boyd. It goes on and says Zay Jones' father, Robert, was a linebacker for the Cowboys from 92 to 95, in which he won few Super Bowls. Jones went and only played 9 games last year with after an injury. 34 catches for 321 yards and 2 touchdowns. But he had a career year the year before where he caught 82 passes for 823 yards and 5 touchdowns. I think, and the Cowboys have seen that firsthand, by the way. He, the Cowboys are looking at, like, is Zay Jones obviously the best wide receiver? No, he's not. Is he the best on the market? Yes, because he at least gives you the opportunity. He at least has the opportunity to be given that third receiving role in Dallas over anywhere else he goes. He also interviewed with Arizona. Nothing came of that deal. A lot of players are understanding they can bring up this value. Now, maybe because his father played with Dallas, that gives him some extra motivation to get that deal done or to go there. Maybe it doesn't. But the Cowboys have kinda sat on their hands the entire time, and usually if they don't, it's because they think they can get it a short-term deal done. That's usually what they think. But I was surprised when I saw that this morning. Next up, the NFL released a memo saying that the schedule release will only happen next week. Now, why was this happening? Well, the longer and longer we didn't hear about it, the more and more I thought maybe they'll try to go to 18 games. They'll do a 19-game season. Maybe they're trying to go to 18. Maybe that's what they're waiting for. It doesn't look that way at this present time, but I wouldn't be surprised about it. So here we go. It says instead of it dropping on the second Thursday of May this year, which would be the 9th, it will actually drop Wednesday the 15th at 8 o'clock. In the meantime, we know every opponent for all 32 teams, which is why you're able to rank schedules. Now, I think the NFL really wants to push that. I I'm not against the 19 game season. The actual 18 games. Excuse me. I'm not against it. What I am against is they didn't want to give any information out of when they were releasing this. That was the shock. So I'm against that. Um, the only thing I would really change besides the games, I would want to go back to the playoff format that we had prior to this format, except with a twist. You put 8 teams in, but you give first and second seeds the bye week. You could still do the same amount of 6 wildcard games. You could still do 6 wildcard games on Super Wildcard Weekend. But it just gives you an extra team to put in, and you can move another team back in the bye week, so it's 2 teams instead of 1. That's all. Moving on to as we've now confirmed the timeline for that, Um, I said this a couple weeks ago. I was shocked that the Patriots went and took 2 quarterbacks in the draft. They released backup quarterback Nathan Rourke, so now it's down to 4 quarterbacks in that room. But that's still not saying why they took 2 quarterbacks. I'm guessing they thought if May is their guy, they still want a guy who can throw the ball like a country mile. So that is the reason why they did it. Joe Burrow actually practiced yesterday and I believe the day before, and he was throwing, and he looked good. He looked healthy. So good for Joe Burrow from that coming back from that nasty wrist injury that he ended up having to miss the remainder of the season. Um, Rashid Rice, okay, we haven't really talked about this. So Rashid Rice is gonna get suspended, and the suspension's probably rather lengthy. Okay, as he was in an investigation where he was involved in a multi-car crash. And he was supposed to get suspended for half the year. That's what the expectation is, half the year. Now he just might have extended it, as Rashid Rice again is allegedly or is under investigation for allegedly fun, fighting, punching a photographer at a club in Dallas. This is not good because now you have two incidences. You could, if these were isolated incidences a few years apart, maybe the league would be more compliant. These are incidences that happen weeks from each other. That's an issue. In the same area, no less. Like, that's a problem. I'm not saying to suspend him the whole year, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Because how can you say we're only going to suspend him this length of time when there's two incidences now in a few weeks away from each other? You can't. You can't. Now, moving on, as let me make sure I can get this here. So I don't know if you guys have paid attention to this. During Sunday, the on on Netflix, there was a roast on Tom Brady, and there was all these celebrities, former players. Um, there was Teddy Bruschi, there was Julian Edelman, there was Gronk, there was Tom Brady, there was Peyton Manning was there. All of them are here, and they're all talking, and they're all doing the roast. There was a lot of jokes about um, Brady's divorce and some other things I can't talk about on here. Now, I bring that up because there was a couple that were pretty harsh on the divorce. including, like, there was a couple comedians, Kevin Hart was there, Nikki Glaser was there, but Kreischer and Tom Segura, like, there was a Andrew Schultz, Tony Hinchcliffe, everyone was there. Even Dana White was there. Dana White was in the back, but he was there. And Bill Belichick was there. It was great. I would encourage you guys to watch it. It's 3 hours. It's a long time, but I encourage you to watch it. The point I'm trying to make is it came out a day later or a day or 2 later that Giselle was the former wife of Tom Brady was very upset that and very disappointed. That was the term they used, disappointed, of these people basically mocking the divorce, which I tried to look at from both sides and I couldn't. I looked at it and she goes and says, "Well, he he didn't stop him." I mean, it's like it's a roast. Have you guys never seen a roast before? There is no, like, control. You're just there taking it. And it's not like it was everybody. Like, if you've never seen a roast before, I encourage you, look up roasts on YouTube and watch, and then go watch the roast on Netflix. And keep an open mind with it. Understand that this is not personal. This is it's using personal events, but it's not personal. In terms of we're not saying this because we hate you, we're actually doing this because we love you. We're around you and we enjoy being around you. That's the whole point. And so they had Bill Belichick, Drew Bledsoe was there. There was a really nice moment in the beginning of the roast where there's a sort of interaction between Belichick, Bledsoe, and Brady of Bledsoe, it's not your time, you're done, you're out. Brady, get in there kind of thing. Bledsoe's like, again? This happened to me again? It was just one of those things. It was really fun to be a part of. But again, that's because if you understand a roast, there are going to be roasts. That's the idea. If you go and say, well, I don't want to be made fun of, then it's not a roast. It's a roast is clever banter. That's what it is. It's banter, no less. It's just that's all it is. It could be a little humiliating, could be a little embarrassing, but it's not meant to be a negative. That's the idea. It means that you're pretty much an open book and you know your life is in the public eye and therefore people are saying it knowing that they're gonna say it in a funny way. So I'll do it this way. My favorite comedian, it was the late great Don Rickles. Don Rickles was a legendary roast master. He would go and have Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, all of these guys, and he'd make fun of them, make fun of them, and do just ridiculous things all the time. And he did. I was watching one. He did a the Johnny Carson show, the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and he sits there and he's talking about how he's married and how Johnny's, sidekick, McMahon, was married, and he goes and says, "Johnny, you are married, 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 married." And Johnny's like, "Okay, okay." The whole point was they know that he knew Johnny was married multiple times. I've been married for a long time. Ed's been married for a good amount of time. That's the whole point. But it's a joke. It's not meaning to be against anyone. It's it's just clever banter. It's a way to make you look. Yes, it's humiliating. Yes, someone's basically going against you, but it's someone going and saying, "This is the negative. Let's turn this into a very funny positive." That's the idea. That's all a roast is. And that's pretty much what they did. It wasn't just as simple as that. It was like them making jokes about, like, Edelman made a joke about how Belichick used to get so mad at players if they do the simplest things and they would drop passes. And I won't say exactly what he said on the Netflix documentary. You can watch it. He goes and says, "Hey, yeah, come on. There's kids at Foxborough High that can do that. Why are you unable to do this?" Basically. To which Edelman goes and says, "I can't believe I'm able to do this. Been waiting for this for so long." He's like, "Hey, Bill, that's the only job you can get. That's the only job offer you had." And that made Bill extreme. Like, he's laughing, he's clapping, he's doing all this stuff. But it's all about that. It's and that was the whole point. It was not meant to be mean. I mean, yes, it comes off mean, but it's not meant to be. It's meant to be funny. That's all. That is all. Don't take it seriously. Because if you take it seriously, you then don't see it as anything else. It's clever banter. Don't take it as anything else. That's all it is. But for people to say, "Oh, I was offended by this." I mean, look, be offended if you want, but then don't watch. It's not that hard. It's it's funny. That's all you have to think of it. It's just funny. And if you can't deal with that, like I said, don't watch. I would encourage you to watch it. It's 3 hours long, but it's q it's quite a thing to see. For NFL World, I'm Jacob Hebert. Out.